Hi Flosstube, this is Nancy Quilting Stitcher. Excuse my voice, I don't know why I'm losing my voice. I have no idea because I'm not sick. But I've had a couple of people ask me for a tour of my sewing room. So I'm just going to give you a quick tour. This will be a fairly short video. We'll just start right here as you walk in the door. Right there's the door. Right here, down here on the floor in that basket, I have kits that are partially kitted up. They either have the fabric in them or the floss in them, or both. You know, some of the floss, but not all of it, or whatever. So those are just partially kitted, and then I have empty project bags there. As I've been emptying project bags this year, I've been putting them down in there. This little cabinet is full of flannel fabric. Pretty much those are each of the stacks are kits that I put together for quilts. They're going to be rag quilts. On top of it is this bowl that I talk about that I just put little small stuff in. The pin cushion right here, it belonged to my mom. I've made these little pin cushions here from just scraps from quilts that I've made. Someone gave me this, a friend of mine gave me this. It came in the mail this week. I'll talk about it in my next video. This is just a mug. This is Happy Quilter on it. I don't even remember where I got it. Eventually I'm going to put something in it. This was a piece I stitched this past year in 2019. It's called, I think it's called Needles and Pins, but it's from Little House Needleworks. This is one of those ones where if you buy the floss pack, that you get the pattern for free. I think it might have been at one time a market exclusive. Don't quote me on that, but it's from a few years ago. And then it came with these little strawberry pins from just another button company. This little box and the magnets a friend gave me. I'll talk about them on my video. And then I've just put a couple of pin cushions that I have also made from fabric scraps in that. And then let's move up here to the wall. Let's see if I can step back so you can see it. This is an old crib frame that I bought off of a buy, sell, and trade Facebook group here, local, and I just kind of hang little gadgets and doodads on it. These are vintage buttons and needles that came out of my mom's sewing box, I guess. When we cleaned out her house, I brought those. And just little things I've gotten from friends and quilting retreats and stuff. I have Create up there, I don't know if you can see it. And then I also, on this, I hang my rulers, most of my rulers for quilting on here. And then I'm going to pan down. This is my ironing station. My ironing board cover is, it's not dirty, it's just when you iron a lot, they turn kind of brown. But anyway, it's functional. This is the cabinet that's under it. You'll see flannel in both of the doors there. Those are for backing, if I need some flannel for backing of a quilt. Let me move this out of the way. Down there in the bottom of it is those little bins. And I have quilting projects in those little bins. And those, they're nice. They're about 13 by 13 inches, I think. 12.5 by 12.5 maybe. And you can buy them like a set of 4 at Costco for like 20 bucks. But every time I go to my quilting retreat, they give me one. So I've got them that way, and then I've actually bought some too. In these drawers, this top drawer is this is a quilting thread, and I have a ton of colors in there, but I use this for when I machine applique on my sewing machine. And then move down to the next drawer. This drawer is full of this is embroidery thread. So when I do machine embroidering, this is my embroidery thread from there. And then we'll move up here. Sorry, I hope I'm not making anybody sick. Picture of my grandkids, and I just have like I have another mug. It's just has like bobbin and patchwork, fabric, pinwheel, just kind of quilting words on it. And then I bought this from a thrift store. I thought it'd be really cute maybe to finish something in it. We'll see. And then up here, these are giveaways for people that haven't commented yet. I love these little boxes you get from Hobby Lobby. I actually bought these two after Christmas because they were like 70% off, and then you got another 20% on top of that. So I paid like $2 for those boxes, for the big one, and then like $1 something for the little one. And then my TV. And then this is my file cabinet. And on the top drawer, I keep all my quilting patterns. The extra drawing is all my cross stitch. The third one down is, doesn't really have anything in it. I've kind of moved my cross stitch out of it. I'll open this up and show you, but this is all my quilting books. I've actually gotten rid of a lot because I'll never quilt them all in my lifetime. These are all my cross stitch patterns, and I keep them in here by designer name, and then they're alphabetical. So, and then this bottom drawer down here, this is all my wool applique kits. And then let's move over here. This is more cross stitch kits. These are all ones that I have kitted up. They're ready to go. So if I when I empty a project bag, I can just come in here and pull one of these out of here. They're all fully kitted. This is, oh, I about fell. This is my desk that I keep my embroidery machine on. This is my embroidery machine. I don't have the embroidery arm on it. I don't keep it on it unless I'm using it. And then this desk was my dad's desk, and the neighbor lady, when I was growing up, she refinished it for him, and so I mean, as long as I can remember, he's had this desk. And when we cleaned out their house and was cleaning out their house, I brought this desk home, and I just use it for my sewing table. Go up here and just show you. This is just a, I don't know if you can see, just some stuff, some stuff I've made. There's some old wooden spools that were come from my mom's sewing room, and there's her iron that I always remember her using. I don't think it works anymore. And then there's an old cast iron. I'm not sure. My dad had it out in his stuff, so it probably belonged to maybe his grandmother or great grandmother. I'm not sure. And then a cross stitch picture. I cross stitch. I'm not sure who it's by. I can't remember. And then this is my happy place. I think this might have been the Scarlet House, but I'm not sure. And that little stitch every day is a Lizzie Kate. That tape measure was my mom's. It's actually a cloth tape measure. Then that's a picture I cross stitched. I believe it was Imaginating. You can't see it, the shadow glare from the window. Down here in the drawers of my desk, we'll go down here to these drawers. I keep all my scissors and just extra sewing stuff in there. This drawer, there's this, and then behind here is, I can't pull it out because I have the basket there, but behind there is another, it's clear full, and this is all my Lori Holt Be My Bonnet fabric. And then I have stuff stashed in every nook and cranny. This is just more, I think this is scrap fabrics from a a couple of quilts I did that I put in here because I have a pattern in there that I'm just going to use scraps for. And let's go up here to these shelves. Okay, so on these shelves, and the little boxes right here, this is all my DMC, and it's all bobbinated. And then I have it divided, it's all in numerical order. And it's, I have it in little, like, little Ziploc snack bags, and I have an index card in there, and it has the number on the index card. And some of the bags have like 3 or 4 bobbins in them of the same color. Just, I always pull out of these boxes first when I kit up a project, and then move on to my extra floss. This top one right there and this bottom one right here is overdyed floss, and I have them in there divided by maker, like Classic Colorworks, Gentle Arts, Weeks Dye Works. These things right here are all of my extra DMC floss. And so if I don't have them in already bobbinated, then I'll go into those and pull out what I need, and then before I go to the store and buy. Up here on the top, those are quilt kits. Quilts, those are jelly rolls. And then we have table runner quilt kits. I have a lot of stuff. I just have those boxes. I just have odd and end things in there. Like maybe I think my charm packs for my shepherd's bush are in there, and some different beads and stuff. And then buttons. I have jars of buttons. I have a jar in there back behind this one of vintage buttons. And then this is just sewing stuff. I think I have beads and things like that in there. This is wool. All that is wool. My wool scraps. And then the top one is when I do my edge-to-edge quilting on my quilts. And then this one right here, see if I can just point to that one right there, is all Victoria Motto thread. When I was in the Victoria Motto Thread Club, that's all of it. And so when I find a chart that only has like 5 or 6 colors, a lot of times I'll go in there and pull out the floss from there and use them. And more Joanne boxes up there. I believe they have fabric and quilt kits and stuff in them. And then let's move down here. This is my cutting table. I bought this, I think, from Joann's. I like it. The only thing I would like is if it was about 4 inches taller. And the reason why is because when I cut, I have to lean over, and sometimes my back gets to hurting. I've thought about putting those lifters under it, that you can lift them up like you do with beds and stuff, but because it has wheels on it, because these doors open, it wouldn't be possible to do that. So I don't know, I'm thinking about maybe my husband could build me a platform, maybe I could set it up higher, I don't know. But in here, I kind of cleaned this out when my husband built shelves, so there's not a whole lot in here. Under here there's a whole bunch of quilt kits. I have, like I said, I have stuff everywhere. My husband thinks I've got problems. Now let me go back over here into this desk. Into this desk, this top drawer just has sewing notions and stuff in it. This drawer has, this is a quilt that I'm working on for my son. Back there is the finishing stuff, so I can put some quilt blocks together for a Lori Holt quilt, which I'll show you in the next drawer. I have enough quilts right here for my Lori Holt quilt. It's the Farm Girl Vintage to make 2 different quilts. So I just need to get them put together, and then just more sewing notions. My dog's toy. The bottom drawer just has nothing really in it. Oh, under here, under the desk, is the top drawer has finished cross stitch in it that I haven't ever done anything with. And then I put, if I don't, as soon as I finish a project, I'll iron it, and then I put it in this top drawer. So things do get pulled out of there and finished, but yeah, that's where all my finished goes before they're fully finished. And then the bottom drawer is full of cross stitch fabric. All right. Trying to not make you sick. Let's see what's on my cutting table. I just cut out all these little pieces for the second part in Esther's Bloomers that I'm doing with Fat Quarter Shop. There are a gazillion little 1.5 inch squares there. I finished cutting them out today. I think I'm going to take a break before I start sewing them together. And then this is for a square that I'm doing. It's a Soup on It and Sam. I don't know what it's called. Soup on It and Sam. I'm doing a square for every quilt that I finish. If you want to see what they look like, I can show them in my next video. And then up here is hoops for my embroidery machine. And then this is my closet. We will start at the bottom. Okay, so at the bottom, in each of those bags, are quilts I am currently working on. Yeah, I got a problem. So I love these bags because, and I have a lot of them, because if I'm going to a retreat or whatever, I can just put everything in a bag and just take that bag and everything's in there. All the fabric and everything. This next shelf is Quilt Kits. And I have a lot. I didn't realize how many I had until I started pulling everything out. When my husband built these shelves in this closet for me, I started pulling things out of other nooks and crannies in my sewing room. I didn't realize I had so many. That's why I'm on a no spending buying anything this year, because I need to do those quilt kits. And not only do I have all those quilt kits, look at all this fabric. These are mostly fat quarter bundles. Well, all those are fat quarter bundles. And then over here, it's a cross stitch piece I want to redo. Over here, all of this fabric is fabric to make quilts. If I find a fabric line I'll buy a yard or a yard and a half of each of the fabrics in the fabric line, and then all I have to do is like add background fabric or whatever. And then those fat quarter bundles back there is all flannel. It's called woolly flannel, and I use those for wool applique quilts. And then up here, this is all flannel again. Those are, I'm going to make a rag quilt out of them. And then these are all just fabrics that are just miscellaneous fabrics, assorted fabrics. I got holiday fabrics in there. And so if I want to do a scrappy quilt and I don't have enough scraps, I can pull from here. My daughter comes over here and pulls from these fabrics too if she needs some. Let's see what we got here. I got some projects here. Let's see if I can find, whoops, I just dropped something. This is probably the first block of the month I ever did from a local quilt shop in here. I was a very, very, very new quilter, and so my blocks are not square, and I was just going to send them to the thrift store, and I thought, you know what, no, I'm just going to see if I can put them together. Maybe I could make like a throw quilt to go on the couch or something. And then this quilt These are just half square triangles I cut off of another project. Rather than throw them away, I've just sewed them together, and then I'm just going to put them in a bag, and eventually I'll have enough that maybe I can sew them together and make a quilt. I went through my scrap bin and found all these scraps from other quilts, and I am making this flag quilt. Every one of these squares is complete scraps. I have not bought anything from it. I have not even taken from my fabric stash that I showed you. This all comes from my scrap bins, which I'll show you in a minute. This is from a quilt I made for my, that one I showed you, that Crown Royal quilt that I made for my son. This is what's left over, so I'm going to use it for the sashing around here. And what else? Oh, this is the Esther's Bloomers quilt that I'm doing with Fat Quarter Shop. I just showed you the million little pieces. This was the first month these pieces were, and the ones I just showed you were for the second month I need to sew together. And then let's move on up. This is the top of my closet. Over there is quilt books. Most of my Lori Holt books are right there. And then I have some CDs for machine embroidery. That is all machine embroidery stuff, and my books for on how to run my embroidery machine. And then these bins are all my scrap bins. And I am pulling, this is where I pulled all the fabric for that flag quilt I'm doing. I'm hoping to have these empty by the end of the year. And then those are just more, these are the Lori Holt. They're the free quilt as you go ones that she puts on her blog. I'm not doing her current one. Of all those in there, I think I've done one. And of all those in there, I have the kits for all of them. So I decided not to do the one she's doing right now. She does, I think, 2 a year. And then up there's just junk, sewing stuff. I was going to make a coffee filter wreath that's up there. Towels to embroidery on. Scraps of flannel left over from other quilts. I may piece those together and make a backing for one of my quilts, one of my scrappy quilts. Anyway, so that's my sewing room. It's my happy place. I love being in here. Let's show you. I made that sign. I'm starting to cross stitch more sewing pieces I can hang in here. And this is a Lizzie Kate I stitched. Anyway, this is my sewing room, and it's my, like I said, it's my happy place. I just love coming in here and creating. I don't stitch in here. I stitch out in the living room because of where my TV is in this room. It's really, if I turn it on, it's mostly I can just listen to it because my back is to it when I'm sewing. But I don't know, one of these days I'd like to maybe paint it, and if I do that I'd probably reposition my TV. But I'm getting it slowly to where I like it. I've had to move furniture around here and there to see where everything works best